Welcome back from that brief intermission as we're about to get into match 2 of week 10. This is the Overwatch Pacific Championship English broadcast. I'm Avril, still with me are Smite and of course Easy, and Machi versus SunSister is the next match.
And SunSister, they put up an impressive performance for us, definitely better than expected, but they're also going up against Machi, who are a tougher team than Fireball.
You would definitely expect, I mean, on paper so far, Machi have been one of the big teams in the competition that, you know, even Flash Wolves right at the top always consider Machi a threat. They specifically say, look, we have to prepare for this team. You never can really count them out.
Most definitely, and I think the really big thing to look forward to in this series is the fact that SunSister did have a very strong showing against Fireball. Will Machi use this as obviously a chance to sort of muck around and try out some new strategies, or will SunSister force out a very serious Machi side?
And I think SunSister getting a map win here would count for a lot more than getting that map win against Fireball. It would certainly be a much bigger victory in their books.
Absolutely. I mean, just looking at the standings once more, Machi is a team ranked higher than Fireball, so you've got to say if they can take a map off this team, yes, that's going to be better, but I'm going to stick to my guns. What I said before the Fireball matchup was that SunSister, I want to see them take out a win now that's a little less likely than against Machi.
I have a few thoughts from both sides here before we get into it. Definitely still going to try our hardest in this one as well. Alright, so although SunSister still lost to Fireball, they did take out that map win on King's Row, so we will not be taking them lightly here.
And so they shouldn't, right? I mean, at this point, I think most teams should not be taking any other teams lightly. The top 3 teams, yeah, sure, they're guaranteed into the playoffs, but at the same time, I feel like with the way the OPC has been going, teams are just taking maps off each other just kind of all over the place, right? I mean, we've even seen full-on upsets. I mean, even literally last night, it's a little hard to call it an upset because Hong Kong Attitude have come close before, but they did beat Blank, and that did, Blank is now running the risk of actually coming 3rd into the playoffs rather than 2nd.
I would say it absolutely is an upset. When you've beaten that team 3 times in a row, 2 of which were 3-0 victories, then to have lost to them, absolutely an upset. And this is speaking a lot to what the 4th round robin looks like. It is the most exciting and the most competitive round robin so far because everyone is taking maps and matches even off each other.
Well, yeah, it sort of speaks to like the way the OPC sort of played out, especially from the start. You know, a lot of these teams sort of got chucked into the deep end a little bit there. You know, the likes of these Japanese teams, you know, Fireball took themselves a little bit of time to find their footing. So it's very exciting to see, you know, how a lot of these teams have improved. You know, Flash Wolves looked a little bit shaky, I feel, I think in the first couple of weeks, but then definitely turned that around.
Absolutely, and of course the rosters coming up on your screens as well. We will be taking a little bit of a closer look at those when we go through the player fly-throughs. Going to start things off this time with Machi on the home side. First player is, of course, going to be DCR1, otherwise known as D-Crown.
D-Crown is a cool name. I think I'm going to be starting to use that now a little bit more often. Who's the one that usually holds the marshmallow plushie?
That is Ristia, and I believe that plushie is back today as well. So they said last time, or one of a few times before, look, maybe we just need the plushie back. That's what was missing. And it should be here. We should be seeing it.
He doesn't have it.
Oh, that could spell disaster here for Machi as they don't use the plushie before the game even starts.
Look, maybe he's sharing it, maybe he's letting someone else hold on to it this time, but Kiyomi is another player that a lot of players on other teams have brought up as a great player on the Ana specifically. It's definitely something to be looking out for.
And also one of the other young players, you know, we talk about Tita, he's 16. So is Kiyomi. He's one of those super young players coming into this. In fact, you even got Nones as well, who is roughly about the 17 and 18 age as well. I do know Machi in general have a couple of young players. It is a rather young team moving into the competition.
And I mean, coming off the back of that, that's very, again, similar to the Fireball situation, you know. There is going to be Season 2 of OPC, probably the Season 3 as well. A lot of potential in that Machi side there.
And of course, we saw this team earlier tonight. This is SunSister, Night Owl rounding out the team as, I believe he's the captain.
Night Owl gets better as the night goes on.
Does he?
Yeah, you know, he harnesses the power of night, you know.
I
Obviously,
see.
Come on, Smite.
Like an owl.
Gosh, I should have seen it right
Should
from
have
the
worked
start,
that one
right?
out, Smite. Anyway. moving through these plays as well. We're actually seeing some interesting things from Odinkin because he's becoming one of the more flexible players. We sort of lauded XQQ as the man with a bunch of picks, 3 picks on the screen, doesn't even tell the full story. Now he sticks on to about 2. And when you look at Odinkin, he's actually flexing a bit more. He now plays the Hog, he's got the Diva in the back pocket. Well, actually the Diva's the main hero. He's got the Genji in the back pocket, I should probably say.
Yeah.
He also previously has been put on the Soldier as
Exactly.
well. But as we've been seeing, XQQ pretty much permanently on Soldier now, so Odinkin is now the Genji player. So that's also another example.
Wallace plays Genji too, so you actually got 3 Genji plays now.
Exactly right. I mean, imagine if we were back to no limits mode, we could just have 3 Genjis on one team. That's a little bit terrifying. I don't really want to go back to double Winston, double Tracer. But
Just counted out by 3 Roadhogs getting all the hooks. Yeah, I don't know.
And then now SunSister.
This is
lead
why
the
we're not
OPC.
playing No Limits, by the way, just in case.
I still miss it in quick play. But in any case, a lot of flexibility being shown by SunSister and improvement in not just how we're seeing them play, but also the fact that they did take a map off of Fireball earlier tonight, which was better than what we were expecting to come out from them. Again, we're always hoping for SunSister to pick up a win to show, on paper, on the results, on the leaderboard here, to show their improvement. But then again, taking maps is of course the next best thing. So same thing is going to apply tonight. SunSister, it would be great to see them pick up a map win against Machi, who will be the home team this time.
And Machi I want to talk about Machi a little bit because they are still fighting for that 4th place spot against Hong Kong Attitude, who just recently, they won that match against AHQ in the last round robin, which equalizes them with Machi, who beat Flash Wolves in round robin number 2. Now coming into the final one, Hong Kong Attitude have again beaten the top 3 team. They took down Blank, so Machi, if they want another hope at that top rather the number 4 spot, which these 2 teams are vying for, they have to not only beat Hong Kong Attitude, but I would say Machi have to also beat either AHQ. In fact, they only have AHQ left, so they have to do that.
Which is an extremely hard job ahead of them, I would have to say.
And of course, the only other option is also relying on Hong Kong Attitude to lose a game to one of the teams below them. But
Which would have to be Fireball at this stage.
exactly right. That's not something you want to rely on as getting into the 4th place spot. So again, it will come down to Machi trying to take a game off AHQ. But of course, that's all going to start here tonight, where Machi, they're the favored team to win, and similar to how Firewall was the favored team to win. So this should be Machi just coming in and doing the regular thing of picking up a win. But we've seen bigger upsets, right? This is definitely possible for SunSister to come in and get a win here. So it's going to be everything in Machi's power needs to be done to not let that happen, so that they can secure that 4th spot safely.
Well, they are playing Hong Kong Attitude next, I believe, as well.
At the end of the night, yes.
At the end of the night?
No, actually, they're playing Hong Kong Attitude next, and then Hong Kong Attitude play AHQ again, and that's scary because what is within Machi's hands is they need to win their games. But if Hong Kong Attitude beat AHQ again, I don't think Machi can take that 4th place.
And the other thing to note as well there is that since Machi said they're not going to be underestimating SunSister in the series, if SunSister do force Machi's hand, do force out some of those compositions that they are likely to run against the likes of Hong Kong Attitude, it's going to give Hong Kong Attitude, I guess, a lot of opportunity moving into that series after this one. But obviously, Machi going to be looking to build some momentum.
All right, let's take a look at this now. Map pick from the Machi side. The home side is going to be Oasis, and I don't know who that was. Winston taking a dive as well. He's trying to swim onto the other island because we also found out yesterday that Oasis is actually split up into 3 islands, and that's the 3 maps.
Well, just looking to take a quick dip there, wash off some of the... Well, it's probably ready, actually. I was about to say some of the stank he's built up, but there's probably no stank being built up if it was the Machi side there. So.
Well, that's
top analysis coming at you.
That's a way of describing it easy, but in any
you
case,
get sweaty, bro, when you're playing. Like, what can you do?
Well, I mean, yeah, okay. Look, Winston wears a pretty big jetpack. It's probably pretty hot, and Oasis is pretty hot too. Like Reinhardt's cooking alive in his own armor. So yeah, I imagine.
I've actually never thought about that. But
well, it's literally a
tough.
voice line. It's a voice line. Reinhardt says that. So more about what the map actually means, and rather the body temperature of the heroes on the map itself.
You're about to say players there for a second as well.
Well, players too. I don't want to talk about that either.
Let's hope now for the next series that we'll have thermometers attached to every player.
All right,
we'll find out.
We'll leave that to you. You can deal with that. And instead, Oasis. One of Machi's favorite map picks as well. They've picked this up quite a lot when they pick Control. So again, you've got to be scared if you're SunSister. even when you had the map pick against Fireball, 3-0, incredibly one-sided for Fireball, it's now Machi's favored map, and this is, again, a team that is looking even more expected to win right now, more favored to win. So SunSister, they've got to bring out everything.
All right, gentlemen, we're about to get into this map now. We'll have to find out who is going to take the first map, who's going to look better. It's going to set the stage for the entire series. And once again, I'm going to pass it off to you guys to cast this one.
Well, thank you very much, Avril, setting the stages right. Well, I mean, coming off that last series, actually, you know, Fireball, very convincing win on the control, and then the very quick change of pace there by SunSister. So, I mean, could be anybody's game as we go into this, but it is indeed going to be Oasis Smite. And how do we feel about this?
So Oasis or not, Control as a map type can look very one-sided even if the fights are going incredibly close. Unfortunately for SunSister, that didn't seem to be the case against Fireball, so they're going to have to start bringing out a few different things. And, you know, the team lineup looks like a few different things, but somehow I feel like some of that's going to change.
I mean, SunSister might be looking to really shake things up here,
That's
and
still
indeed they are going for that triple tank, which is very interesting to say the least. XQQ changing up to the McCree, which is something we haven't seen all night.
And this is something I feel like maybe they're playing into the chance of there being a Sombra as well. Roadhog is fantastic at just finding the hooks onto Sombra, taking her out of the equation entirely. McCree flashbangs as
nice
well.
flashbang, nice headshot onto Can, opening this one up for SunSister. Surprise, Machi, SunSister are here to play, picking up that second one onto Nonez as well. So huge start now for SunSister, looking to get themselves the first cap, and indeed they get it. And if they can pick themselves up another staggered kill off the back of these early frags, this is going to be a great opening for SunSister. Indeed they do.
XQQ and Mollis going off, at least in this very first fight. The difference is, SunSister actually won a fight where they got picks at the start. This is fantastic for them. Machi are now going to have to come back on the back foot. They're walking into a team that punishes flankers for stepping out of position. So Nonez and Kant are going to have to be on their very best behavior if they are going to be avoiding the hooks, the flashbangs, and even
they're not avoiding any hooks there, as the hook comes straight through onto No Talk, and he is sent back to the respawn. Now the Deadeye being used, doesn't find anything with it, and actually gets taken out in the middle of it. And now Machi, out of nowhere, with a player down at the start of this as well, really opening and laying into SunSister here. Don't even need to commit the pulse bomb as they wipe out these SunSister players, recap that one. But SunSister with 42%, very decent opening.
It's a decent opening, but as SunSister, you'd be hoping to hold on to that for a little bit longer, because now you've got to ask the question, how do they take the point back off of Machi, who have a whole lot more ultimates than them, both DPS ults, both defensive support ults as well, and SunSister, they just use their only DPS ult, right? So now they're going to have to rely on something like a big Earth Shatter, but Zetman has done barely any damage during a lot of the fights, and I believe he's actually just used it in the last fight, so there's still a long while away.
And here's the Dragon Blade, but huge flashbang. Can they take out Nonez before he finds the kill himself? No, they can't. XQQ will be the first one to fall there. Just a little bit of hope behind that flashbang, but it's not enough. And now Machi stomping all over the rest of these SunSister players, not even letting them retreat as they look to stagger out the rest of these kills.
Well, Machi using the 2 DPS ults pretty well, but unfortunately it was actually the tanks doing the majority of the damage there. You could see Nonez with that flashbang forced out of the fight entirely, but the rest of SunSister, like you said, just got walked over there. Now, they do have a few ults to play with this time. This is realistically where SunSister could take the point, but they do have to break through both Transcendence and then Sound Barrier. Machi will have to stagger those ults nice and well to make sure they stay alive.
Well, the Transcendence coming through there, really allowing Machi to push very aggressively. Now Sound Barrier from both teams here. Don't have that Dragon Blade yet, but there comes the Pulse Bomb. Doesn't find anything, but Machi already picking themselves up 4 kills very early into this. Nonez just looking to get himself a little bit more charge off the back of that. And that's going to be that there. Now SunSister really going to need to come up with something, as Machi fast approaching 100% here. Just got past 85.
All right, so now they've got Deadeye. They've even got Whole Hog, which can just cause so much chaos into the Machi backline, right? And there's no defensive ultimates left. That's the big one. Nonez is going to have to shut down this Deadeye.
Oh, nicely played. Self-destruct being sent in there. Doesn't find any kills, but we'll open this one up here as Nonez uses the Dragon Blade. They don't even let SunSister contest the point, and Machi picking up the first stage.
And that was, yeah, Machi throwing out that self-destruct for SunSister too far back, and with the Dragon Blade in their faces, Just a little bit too hard to get to the point on that last second. So a good opening fight by SunSister. That's fantastic. But we've got to remember a lot of that was just them punishing with flashbangs and roadhog hooks. And Machi very quickly learned that you should not be hit by those.
I mean, a little part of me wanted to see Azaya there for the side of SunSister. I don't think they really needed to use a D.Va, considering their composition there.
Yeah, the big thing about D.Va is that she can shut down a lot of the flankers. Also, Soldier is a big deal, so if you can shut that down. But like you said, Machi, they weren't running Soldier, so there was room for Azaria in there, but I think Defense Matrix just brings way too much to drop the D.Va on Oasis.
Well, we'll find out now.
Unless it's triple
XQQ
DPS.
moving over to the Soldier, so this is a welcome change, I feel. The McCree, very good on that early surprise attack, but didn't have the consistency running through the first stage here. Now coming into stage number 2, SunSister looking to get themselves some positioning. This is going to be a good chance for Mollis to get in the back lines. He doesn't commit to it at all, as the rest of his team dropping down there. Night Owl and Odin, now XQQ taken out as well, as Machi now. This is just a steam train here, just rolling through the side of SunSister now.
And almost every single fight, including the previous stage as well, Machi have had their charge led by D-Crown. He has been the forefront of every aggressive move ever by Machi today, and it's been it's been winning them fights, because it's followed up by the two diving heroes, Nonez and Kant, and it's, like I said, it's winning them fights right now.
And I think in these situations here as well, Mollis needs to just not fall back there, really needs to try to commit, take out Kiyomi, build some charge of his own there when he had the chance to. Really got nothing done and just gave away more ultimate charge without gaining anything for himself, but he is getting closer to his pulse bomb as he picks up that kill, this time onto Kiyomi. But Nonez though, no way Jose, picking up a triple there, back-to-back dashes. The rest of SunSister again, nowhere to be found here. A little bit of a contest now coming out from Mollis. Did have the pulse bomb to use, will take the mech out, but still nothing for them to really work with.
The real painful thing for SunSister about that was they were winning that fight, and then it took so long that Machi were just able to clean it up anyway, and they held onto the point the entire time, didn't use any ultimates either. So now they're sitting nice and cozy, ready to just slaughter SunSister as they come in. Yes, XEU, he will have Tactical Visor. There's going to be a lot of DPS ults actually ready for SunSister, but every time Machi have shown they're completely capable of shutting them down.
Nonez's Dragon Blade already opening up Night Owl here, but there we go, a quick trade-off now for the side of SunSister. These DPS ultimates really need to come up big into this next fight. There is going to be a sound barrier, I believe, being used there. Is it really going to be enough though? It will be, as the rest of Machi's DPS are just wiping out SunSister. Unbelievable stuff here, as they had everything going for them there coming into that fight. SunSister, they do pick themselves up a couple. They are going to get the recap here as well, as Machi going to be forced back off the point. There is a contest though coming in from No Talk, does have that self-destruct as well. Will be doing good work here indeed. The pulse bomb not being able to find that kill. Now the tactical visor from XQQ picking up one onto Kiyomi. Can they find any more though? Where's the rest of the SunSister squad? And there it is, the transcendence from Night Owl in the nick of time, as that pressure was just about to come through onto XQQ. But this has surely got to be it now for SunSister. They need to pick themselves up this fight, but Machi are managing to get themselves back onto the point. There's a primal raging D-Crown on the point as well. And now look at this pressure coming out from Kant. He's right all over XQQ in the back lines. Now the Transcendence actually coming through for the side of Machi. XQQ being pressured now by D-Crown as well, up on the high ground. And SunSister getting so close to that cap, but they can't even push it over the line here. Overtime ticking down. Can Machi do the thing that Miracles have made of and really push this one back, taking it 100-0?
Machi, though, have thrown everything at trying to hold the point there. They were throwing all the ultimates they had out to try and hold. Now, it wasn't a huge amount. It's not like Dragon Blade was used in there, but Primal Rage was thrown in. I believe Transcendence was as well. And in the end, SunSister managed to cap it like we just saw. And also, the whole time they were in control of that fight, which means they were, on average, getting more ultimate charge out of it as well. They have set themselves up, but like you said, 99% over to Machi. There's still a long way to go for SunSister.
Yeah, Machi an absolutely insane job at keeping that one alive. SunSister not being able to close it out just quick enough. Look at that, Machi already getting halfway on the cap. SunSister need to get in there. Even trades coming across the board. That sound barrier through now for SunSister. They need to pick these kill up, and Nonez is a good start, but losing XQQ is not what you want, as Machi push themselves up onto the high ground, gaining that strong now position. Kant going to be here, left alone. No contest coming out for him here at all. D-Crown, what an absolutely insane Winston there, as Machi recap the point, looking to take stage number 2, and indeed, they do.
And it looked like maybe there was a bit of hope there for SunSister, but unfortunately, Machi, even after, like I said, throwing everything at that point, trying to hold on to it in the end, just the trio of D-Crown, Kant, and Nonez just roaming around, absolutely slaughtering everyone. D-Crown just setting it up for the flankers, and there it is. There's the marshmallow. That's why Machi are winning.
Yeah, I spoke a little bit too soon there saying, oh, don't have it. Is that holding somebody's phone? What is on it?
It looked like he was handcuffed to it.
They're keeping him there without his approval. Marshmallow's like, let me go home, please.
Yeah, he went home that one day and they lost, so now they're chaining it up to make sure the Marshmallow never gets to go home. But we're on to the next map. It's only one more for Machi to win here. And they've been proving pretty well that they can do it pretty confidently.
SunSister back against the wall now. Really need to just get aggressive into this, but can't. Already in the stronger flanking position. Now Machi looking to really sandwich this fight in. That Discord all being found very early onto XQQ, but does manage to live through it though. But Night Owl going to be the first to drop here now. XQQ, not much help left around him there. Machi will not overcommit and go for him just yet. There is a slight trade now coming out from Odin Kun around the side there, but Machi surely going to be able to pick up this first cap. And indeed they have here, and SunSister not really able to stabilize and do a constructed push just yet.
One of the greatest things as well that we just saw Machi do was focusing down Night Owl on Zenyatta first. This removes the Orb of Discord from the fight entirely, which makes D-Crown a whole lot harder to take down, to kill, and with a whole lot of focus from your team. So that just lets him run even more rampant, setting up even more kills for his flankers.
And now Odin not connecting with that dash just yet, looking to get that kill there onto DCR1, but XQQ finding that kill now onto Kant is a decent little start there, but the rest of Machi just all over this one. The Dragon Blade from Nonez doing surely enough damage there. SunSister not having much time to react at all, but Smiley don't commit anything to that fight.
Yeah, luckily for SunSister, they do manage to hold on to their own ultimates. XQQ with the tactical visor is going to be important, but quite often we just see him caught out. Machi, and even Fireball before, very intent on focusing this guy, diving him incredibly hard. It works okay when they have triple tank, they can keep him alive, but their team composition is just not set up for keeping XQQ alive. There's not even a diva.
And it's so hard there for XQQ to get into a decent position as Machi really holding that high ground position, not allowing any breathing space here for SunSister to get set up. There is that pulse bomb here for both traces, so do keep an eye out here. Kent getting himself in a very strong flanking position. It's going to be the Transcendence coming through for the side of Machi, straight into SunSister's sound barrier. Oh, Night Owl taken out again, and this is just as you mentioned, Smite. They are so good at focusing and catching out that Zenyatta before he has any room to assist into these fights. Almost getting booped off the edge there, but you've got to remember that jetpack is too strong, too fast, too furious. Back onto the stage, and Machi still holding on to this one, just passing 90%.
SunSister just simply can't get there in time. They're just going to get routed out back once more by Machi. This is surely just going to be the... No, okay, overtime does come out, but that's a sticky that didn't hit.
It looked like it was close to getting the stick there. Pulse bomb doesn't connect, but it doesn't matter at all. The Dragon Blade now from Odin Kun, a dream, but oh my goodness, Kiyomi's not having any of that up on the high ground. Will take him out in that 1v1 duel there. The sound barrier coming through just to finish things off there for Machi as they pick this up very cleanly indeed.
Very similar fashion to Fireball. Machi just very one-sided, 3-0 on control, taking out SunSister. This was their map pick though, so SunSister may have a shot to come back in when we move to Hybrid.
Well, I mean, look at that. They're just not even bothering here with the Winston, and that lightning gun just going to work here. I mean, we called him DCR1 a couple, well, I did, I believe. D-Crown. What a strong Winston performance I feel on control there.
Yeah, definitely give him the crown, gentlemen, for that play. And look, Machi, very dominant on Oasis. I kind of feel like SunSister control is a bit of their weaker map type.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, just literally the two matches that we've seen, both maps on control have been...
Not even these two, but past matches.
In general, but it's very easy to see from these results right here. And remember, it's not like they're playing Flash Wolves or Blank right now. They played Fireball, who, while we've lauded them for improving a whole lot, they're still the 6th place team, one of the closest teams for SunSister to reach. Machi also, I believe they're currently 5th, so some of the closest teams to SunSister, and they're still just getting completely demolished on control.
I mean, to give credit where it's due there, that first attack coming out from SunSister with that McCree, Reinhardt, combo there. That was awesome to see coming out from SunSister. You know, a little bit of the pocket strat coming through, really catching, I think, Machi off guard there. A couple of huge flashbangs as well from XQQ to get things started. But still, just not enough left in the tank there. You know, once Machi had been caught off guard and they were able to react, nothing that SunSister could really do to react of their own.
It's definitely one of those moments where SunSister have an explosive moment, they really take advantage. But in general, what I've noticed across both of the matches for SunSister on Control specifically is when you allow the other team to sort of get a lot of room and be able to maneuver, and I'm talking specifically about Apudo here, and then Nunez on the Machi side, these are the kind of players, then you have Inzidai and Kant on top of that. Their DPSs on Viable and Machi are good enough that when they get the space to really take an inch and make a mile out of it. And this is something that SunSister struggle against, which is why I believe when we get to the hybrid and get to the assault, suddenly they do improve because they can restrict that momentum and movement from the DPSs on the other side.
I think also to Machi's credit and D-Crown himself as well, yes, Kant and Nunez were doing a lot of work, but D-Crown was setting a whole lot of it up. He was getting in there, getting the damage done, protecting them with the barrier as well, and then importantly, getting out alive himself. That's such a huge difference when both Winstons die. If you're one of the Winstons that manages to not die, that was a bit convoluted, but if you get out alive and the other Winston doesn't, it's a huge advantage for your team. That jump is not a huge cooldown because suddenly you get healed back up and you can just jump back in once more.
I just sort of want to talk a little bit about the SunSister decision making. I think we saw it come through there yet again. I believe there was a chance for Kiyomi to get taken out by Mollis very early into that Oasis stage. Mollis had him caught out, lost 2 players on his own team, and instead of committing to taking out that Zenyatta, he then decides, I'm going to retreat, do absolutely nothing, waste a couple of blinks as well, why I try to retreat and then get killed. And so, I mean, the fight was more than likely over anyway at that point, but it's these decisions on the fly when SunSister don't really commit into taking out their specified target. They're not really too sure what's happening in the fights and they're going a little bit too quickly. I feel like if they just commit into their game plan, because I mean, we saw it there from Machi, you know, Night Owl was dead for literally 50% of the game.
Yeah, and that's a big difference as well, because Kiyomi, I don't think he died once in at least the 3rd stage. He did not die once, and then on maps 1 and 2, I think if he did die, it was maybe once per stage, right? Like, he was barely ever targeted because SunSister were so concentrated on keeping their own front line alive, especially on the 1st stage where they were running triple tank, right? You have to be concentrated on that, but when they're running dive, a Zenyatta is a pretty easy target.
Something else I want to mention is specifically for Control when we look at SunSister and what they're running now. Yeah, they're going for the double hit scan, they're putting XQQ onto Soldier. I actually think one of the reasons it's not working is when you look at the successful double hit scan teams in the competition, Blank and Flash Wolves, the reasons, and a big reason as to why they're successful is they have a top tier Tracer. Both of their teams able to have that one Tracer play absolutely wreak havoc on the other side, and then the Soldier to really anchor down their DPS on the back line. And when you look at SunSister, they're not quite there yet, and you almost want to do what Machi and Fireball are doing to you guys, which is you run the Genji and the Tracer together. That's something that allows you a little bit more mobility, and XQQ doesn't suddenly get shut down as well. So I want to move on to the map pick because it is going to be Kings Row, it is going to be SunSister, and they're saying, look, we just beat Fireball on this, let's make this, let's get a repeat.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It is one of SunSister's stronger hybrid maps, and yeah, they got a fantastic result against Fireball. But let's also not forget that we didn't see half the map as well. We don't know how SunSister currently are doing on 3rd checkpoint, whether that's attack or defense. So Machi are a team that can definitely take it to that, either on attack or defense, sure, but I'm sure that SunSister will have trouble once they get there as well. Maybe they'll have to swap over onto the triple tank on attack as well when they get to that point.
I mean, the other thing is as well is that Machi have just seen SunSister play this here, so you know that sort of triple tank lineup that I think that Fireball were not fully expecting, especially on you know, coming up against SunSister. Machi are definitely going to be ready for this one, I feel.
I think Machi are going to be more prepared. They're going to be, you know, especially after watching that Fireball game, and something that Machi, strangely, I feel struggle with anyway, is find a good way to make Soldier work, because when you see Nunez on there, even when you see Kiyomi play the Soldier, they haven't found a good method to really get the mileage out of that Soldier play. But when they play Tracer Genji, that's when Machi look extremely good, and that's when I believe Machi have also had their best results. So it's kind of a, both teams trying to find out how to maximize that Soldier gameplay. And for SunSister, that's been on control. For Machi, it's kind of across the board as well. But we are about to now head into King's Row. So once again, gentlemen, I will see you on the other side. Let's see what happens here.
Thank you very much, Avril. Very excited to see if there's a chance for SunSister to pick themselves up a map against Machi. It's surely going to be here on King's Row. Obviously, very strong performance against Fireball on this. Can they repeat this against Machi Smite?
Well, it's a big ask for them, of course. It's going to be a lot to do with that first checkpoint as well. Against Fireball, they did actually cap it on basically their very first push. They punished the counter dive coming out from Titawat on that Winston. They just slaughtered him straight away, and then they just mowed down the rest of the team. And again, because it was a trade, they had the closer respawn. So will SunSister be able to do it once more on the first point? Because that is going to rely a lot on Machi just over-aggressing if they do run a dive.
Well, I assume this is Machi here on the defense, looking like they're going to be... No!
Oh, SunSister throwing a spanner in the works.
What the... So, I mean, the strat that just worked for them, let's not do that, and let's go dive against a better team that are going to be better than us at dive. I 100% agree with this decision.
Well, look, there could be some mind games going into it as well, because you could say Machi, they might be expecting the triple tank, but look, that surprise factor is only going to last one fight at the most. They already realize the composition that's coming out anyway, so now it's just going to be dive versus dive, but Nonez is going to be Genji hunting down XQQ on Soldier.
Well, I really hope SunSister make me eat my words here, as the fight being staggered out for quite some time here. Decent amount of damage going through there to the Machi side, but SunSister don't manage to convert that into any kills just yet. And now Machi setting up on this high ground, really looking to answer back with some kills of their own if they do manage to get themselves down that corridor. But Odenkird finding D-Crown. Good start now for SunSister as XQQ out the window. Big Helix Rocket doesn't manage to convert that into a kill just yet. Kiyomi so very low. Is there anybody there to finish it off? It is indeed going to be Mollis. They've only lost themselves the Diva at this point. So again, SunSister looking very decent here as they take out Nonez, but they still have to worry about Kant in the back lines being such a pest. He will still be joined by Ristia.
And also, let's not forget that XQQ had to jump out the window, and because Machi is still constantly poking at the point, pressuring at the point, he can't actually run back up there anymore. It's actually just Kant's house up there now, or it was, until he jumped down.
And he almost got that sound barrier off. I think I heard it for just a split second, but now SunSister, though, great work here at cleaning up these players. They will get XQQ around that corner there as well, just to finish off Kant. And decent ultimate build now for XQQ. We'll have that nano visor to work with coming into the next fight. And you've really got to applaud now, SunSister, changing up their lineup. And I'm definitely eating my words here. 2 minutes 19 left on the clock.
Definitely a big thing for Machi to do right now. Like you said, that Dragon Blade, but they need to shut down that tactical visor.
That's a good way to start it off, though. Losing Mollis is not what you were looking for as the Transcendence comes through now. Nonez all over Elu. He's sent back to spawn as well. Now this is disaster as well. XQQ caught in the room here. Discord orb on him as well. And SunSister don't even have a chance to put up a piece of defense here, as again, the Machi train is strong and just rolling on through this first point.
Well, at the very least, they don't have a chance to rush in at the last second and lose a point anyway. They will get a chance to set themselves up on the streets phase here and even take an early fight in the archway if Machi are going to let them. They didn't actually use any of those ultimates apart from Transcendence during the first capture. So now they can just push forward with those ultimates and then continue the payload's progress.
And Nonez, though, going to be hitting the Dragon Blade. What's he going to be coming up with there? Finds himself the mech. Decent little start there, but great pressure up on that high ground there by D-Crown as well. A little bit of trades coming through for SunSister, but surely not enough for them to mount any kind of stable defense here, as very offensive push through the streets, working out very well for Machi, committing minimal ultimates to that one as well.
Yeah, just the Dragon Blade. Got a lot of value out of it, and as well, the payload trucking on. They've now stuck 3 people onto it as well, so it's going to move a little bit further. It's really just going to be SunSister with one last fight. They still have that tactical visor for XQQ. He didn't even get to use it on the first point, so he needs to be in a good position. He won't have a nano boost to use it with it at all. So realistically, No Talk has to be out of the mech.
Oh, there comes the attack visor, destroys Kant instantly, but the pulse bomb still finds its man and will send XQQ back here. Now D-Crown, beautiful positioning right now, pushing all the way up, allowing Machi to get right in the face of SunSister and the Transcendence. Again, Kiyomi is building up these Transcendences like they're absolutely nothing, like they're a pulse bomb. There's the second one as well, the self-destruct. will not find anything there, but it matters not here as Machi just again steam rolling SunSister through the streets.
And this is just SunSister trying to buy seconds on the second checkpoint. But we're going to go to checkpoint 3, baby. We haven't been here tonight. Here we are. And SunSister, they're running out of ultimates. Machi, they've used a lot of gas to get to where they are right now, but they need to go for a refuel here. Start building some of these ultimates up, because this is the 3rd checkpoint. You can't just waltz on through here.
Baby, you said you wouldn't call me this on cast, Smite.
I make no promises.
Getting up into the third section now of the map. Mollis almost getting caught out by Kant there, and Kant indeed reading him very well, does manage to fall back to the rest of his team just in the nick of time. That would have been absolutely disastrous as Mollis still holding on to the pulse bomb. Kant throws his out though, can't connect though.
Straight onto a barrier, and the payload's been moving this entire time. This is just a disaster for SunSister.
I believe Mollis's was eaten just then as well, so he's going to find nothing out of his own pulse bomb. And again, the Machi train does not stop. Do not pass go, do not collect $200 here, and Machi just looking to push this one all the way to checkpoint number 3, not letting SunSister get any kind of stable defense set up at all here. Zetman being the only one to take out Nunez, but obviously can rush himself back to the point, and now the cart 2 meters away from capping out. There's the self-destruct, the Transcendence coming through yet again, and the Tactical Visor needs to come up big, but again, great pressure out of D-Crown, not letting him find anything with that there, and the defensive ultimates from Machi too strong here, but now SunSister do have the sound barrier to work with. This is their moment to thwart this offense coming out from Machi. They indeed have managed to stabilize and find that kill onto D-Crown. Can they pick themselves up? Ristia here on the Lucio, indeed he drops as well, and out of nowhere, Machi gets sent back and have to reset.
The train eventually stops right here at the end of King's Road.
This is the end of the line.
But if I'm going to nitpick anything there for Machi, it's that they did overlap their 2 defensive ultimates. Sound Barrier and Transcendence came out at the same time. Imagine a world where they just chained them together, survived a whole lot longer. And remember, SunSister just barely held on to that. That added duration of being basically invincible would have been enough for Machi to hold on there. But SunSister, they're still on the ropes very heavily here, still throwing out ultimates as much as they can.
Oh, Kant throwing that pulse bomb out into the wild, getting nothing there at all. Now the Dragon Blade from Nunez though looking to do the work. Oh my goodness, is that a boop kill there? And indeed it is. XQQ sent, falling into a pit of doom, and back to the spawn room here. Self-destructs now coming through. Anything to be found? Not yet. Has Nunez just walking all over this one, getting all the way to cap number 3.
1 minute 30 in the time bank for Machi, and a much stronger performance on King's Row against SunSister than we saw from Fireball. And Easy, I think you can take those words out of your mouth there. That defensive composition didn't work out too well for SunSister at all.
I mean, I think, you know, in those early fights there, that was entirely Machi's plan. Obviously build up a lot more charge, throw some of those fights ever so slightly, and then obviously walk through the streets phase with such a huge advantage that they had there. And I mean, great rotation coming up from them as well. They took point 1 when it looked like it was almost starting to be a struggle with just a Transcendence.
Well, that's the thing, right? SunSister, yeah, they held on to the first point for a decent amount of time, right? It took a few fights for Machi to get on through, but the important thing to note is that when Machi did get through, they used minimal ults, only a Transcendence to get that first point, which means, like you said, the second checkpoint was a breeze for them. They could just use that huge ultimate advantage. They did eventually run out by the time they got to the 3rd checkpoint, but by that point, they had so much time to get it all the way to the end.
Well,
So,
that
SunSister.
That too was, I'll take the words out of your mouth there, a breeze also for them, almost managing to go all the way through checkpoint number 3, uncontested there. But SunSister with a stroke of, I'm going to say, a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill, a little bit of spice, a little bit of everything nice.
And 10% reason to remember the name as well. So, SunSister, last time we saw them attacking King's Row, they got that point immediately, remember? But it was from punishing Fireball's mistake, their over-aggressiveness from their Winston. Are Machi going to make the same mistake? Remember, they would have been watching that series as well. They could be saying, this is the exact reason why SunSister were able to capture this first point so quickly. Let's just not do that, and let's just first hold SunSister.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it, when you come up against a team like Machi, just a little bit better in regards to their composure and I guess their communication here. They're just slightly ahead of SunSister in terms of orientation of their dive.
Oh, almost thought we were going to have the XQQ Genji, but it's back to the soldier. This did work before. SunSister love to just escort him straight up to that high ground, just push off anyone that's sitting up there anyway, but there's not a soldier for Machi right now, so no one's going to be living up there, but they'll sure as heck be contesting it, not wanting XQQ to get a foothold up there.
Well, Nona's not making the same mistake that Apudo did and doesn't dash straight into his doom there and manages to get right in. The perfect timing there on the cleanup, gets the reset there as well, and SunSister have just been sliced in half.
Yeah, okay, Nonez just slaughtered them all. He got a swift strike through, I think, 4 members at once. That's a lot of damage all added up, and he does have 70% of his ult already charged up. That means during this next fight, it's very likely Nonez will have Dragon Blade. XQQ is on the Widowmaker. If you can headshot the Genji, then you don't even have to worry about that Dragon Blade.
And I mean, we've seen XQQ hit some dirty shots throughout his time in the OPC here, so let's see if he can repeat some of that now.
Interesting positioning.
Yeah, about to say, oh, look at that though. The good communication coming through from SunSister actually. The one thing I sort of mentioned is I'm not really a big fan of, but they do let him know where the Genji is. He just needs to land a shot, and indeed, Kiyomi's sent back home, and that's a great start now for SunSister. Can they follow up and cash in and make dividends on the back of that? Mollis finding that kill onto D-Crown. They're looking to take out Nonez on the Genji. They catch him, and now surely SunSister, this is going to be their moment to shine. Kant sent back as well. Amazing there from SunSister. XQQ, just what the doctor ordered.
And this is a bit of an issue though for SunSister, is that they do rely on XQQ to actually get those headshots. And sure, yeah, they get good results from it when it happens, but can you rely on it? But this is going to be a recommit. You've got Transcendence to sprint on.
And indeed, they do it. The Dragon Blade right next to him. There is that sound barrier from SunSister. Players looking very low. They do manage to sustain through this though, and now they do have that Transcendence of their own, but they've lost XQQ's damage. And this is an absolute now disaster. We thought Machi were going to recommit into this one, and indeed they do. It's working out well for them, and they're finding the kills that they need. There's going to be that Primal Raging D-Crown as well. Kiyomi does fall down. That's exactly what started off this initial fight here. Mollis looking to hang on for dear life, catches a mech, but they're being forced back here, millimeter away from capping. But is there anyone in here to keep it alive? Nonez though, taken down. XQQ looking to set up again in a decent position, but they're losing all that hard work.
They're going to have to just regain position on here. Machi surely will come back in for the contest. There are still a few people running back, so SunSister do have time.
And now this is very good here for SunSister. They do manage to keep it alive. And indeed, they are finding the kills yet again. And this time, Machi don't have all those ultimates to work with. Oh, great biotic grenade there as well with the rest of the damage. Kiyomi and the Zenyatta are going to be able to take that kill out onto XQQ. And that is going to be a huge piece of defense now for Machi. What a great recommit coming out from them.
SunSister are likely going to have to go into almost overtime here, unless Machi don't choose to commit onto the point, but they do.
And there's a Transcendence with the Dragon Blade as well. When will Nonez opt to use it? There comes the self-destruct. Oh, it's a big double coming through there from Odinkun. This is now surely now SunSister. This is your moment. This is your chance to get this first cap, take it into the streets. But now a nano boosted DCR1 looking to build himself up another Primal Rage. They take out Kiyomi yet again. Doesn't get the Primal Rage up. And this is now SunSister at the last few seconds picking themselves up. Cap number 1 onto the streets. But not a lot of time to work with, but do have those ultimates, Smite.
At the very least, they do move into the streets phase with a sizable advantage. Nonez will have Dragon Blade, which can just shut down a lot of ultimates, right? But with the Transcendence and the Sound Barrier, that's not something you can just slice your way through. If XQQ is protected by one of those ultimates, he'll be fine. Picking up this pick here onto Kiyomi? No, Restia. Onto Restia is going to set them up nicely.
Yeah, so good little change now coming out for the side of Machi there. Switching up these supports, seeing if they're if the Lucio can do a little bit more for them. But Nonez holding that Dragon Blade, lying in wait now, looking for the opening. Indeed gets right up into the front lines here. Slicing, looking to see what he can find. Forced right back there as XQQ will take down the crown now. And SunSister that is a big mistake here now for Machi, committing some ultimates, and now they're paying. Discord Orbs finding their mark there, and they just get grated out there in the streets now. SunSister looking to get aggressive.
And SunSister playing conservatively as well, right? They hear the angry Japanese man screaming, so they throw out the sound barrier, keeping themselves alive, and then say, hey, look, this is all we need to stay alive and win the fight. And now they still have a whole ton of ultimates to move into the third checkpoint, or at least get this final fight here as a win.
Again, this has been the story of Pulse Bombs not really finding their marks in the story there, as Mollis going to be throwing that one out. Self-destruct positioning, not so great there. Doesn't find the kill here. Now, DeCrown looking to really keep this alive, but the self-destructs are finding themselves some kills, taking out Elu in the mech as well. Now, Kant going to be finding Mollis here, and they stop this payload in its tracks just before checkpoint number 2. 50 seconds left. Baited out many ultimates as well for the side of SunSister. So now Machi looking in very good control.
SunSister definitely looking to utilize XQQ and his tactical visor. He's been so conservative with that ultimate, but when you are SunSister looking at your situation, you got to get it all the way to the third checkpoint. You need to be conservative. You need to be saving these ultimates as much as you possibly can.
Oh, look at that. SunSister pounce on Kant as he tries to get that early pick with the pulse bomb. Doesn't come up with anything and loses his life in the process. SunSister need to go in. They need to go now, and they need to go hard. They need to find themselves another kill before he's allowed to get back into this fight, and that would be a very good one to start with, as Nunez was so very close to the Dragon Blade. Here comes the Transcendence from Restia though, looking to keep this fight alive for Machi, looking to get Kant back into the fight, and Nunez as well. Now beautifully timed tactical visor from XQQ, but there is that sound barrier there for Machi to really keep them alive through this great defensive ultimates here, really pushing this fight ahead. Now the DPS players, oh no, Kant gets taken out here as well. So this is SunSister again in the last few seconds. Very important fights here. The Dragon Blade from Kant. Oh my goodness, Nunez, insane. XQQ, a little bit too aggressive there. It was all on him to really find that kill onto Nunez, and he doesn't do it as he gets his Helix Rocket reflected right back into his face. Surely Nunez should be taken out now. 2 meters left and falling quickly, and SunSister out of nowhere yet again gets second cap. 1 minute 25 left on the clock.
SunSister, fellas, you don't have to wait until overtime to get the job done, but look, the job is done regardless anyway, and they will be moving into this third checkpoint. They still have some ultimates in the bag, and Machi, they don't have a Transcendence, they don't have a sound barrier, but that pulse bomb goes wide. They need to connect as many of these as they can if they want to hope to break through this third checkpoint.
The story of the series there, an almost stationary Winston still can't find the pulse bomb connecting, but Odenkun going to be finding that kill onto DCR1 nonetheless. XQQ and his boy Night Owl finding that kill there onto Kant, and Nunez now sent back as well. SunSister rolling through with great momentum here onto point number 3. Huge as well, holding onto a Transcendence. Do have that self-destruct. This is absolutely great stuff now from SunSister, but Machi have a little bit to work with in the bank. Can they recommit?
XQQ needs to get his tactical visor up as soon as he can. That self-destruct just went out, so there's not going to be one for a while. But once he gets tactical visor, he needs to make sure that No Talk is out of the mech. He's out of the mech now, but he doesn't have tactical visor.
The Dragon Blade now from Nunez though will take out Night Owl early into this, and I am looking to see if Nunez is being able to finish things off. Indeed he is, and he does come through with Kant there using the old pulse bomb, as well as the rest of the team being able to really clean things up there.
5 seconds,
5
easy.
seconds left. It looks like no one's going to be able to push this one into overtime. Alone Zenyatta is not long left for this world, and Machi going to be picking up King's Row, but SunSister with a little bit of a second wind towards the end.
Yeah, second win maybe, but let's not forget how close they were cutting it. First point, almost overtime. I believe it was about 10 seconds left. Second checkpoint, clearly overtime, and then they didn't even get it all the way to the end. And remember that Machi also got it. What?
Skins?
Is that? Are we in Junkenstein's Revenge?
What has just happened?
That's kind of cool. But anyway, Machi got it to the end with a sizable time bank. So instead, I guess Junkenstein's Revenge is the real winner.
Yeah, there it was there as well. Nunez, great dash reset through all 4 of them there. Didn't get too many killing blows, but I mean, as you mentioned as well, Smite, the damage dished out in that certain situation would have been incredible.
All right, gentlemen, second win sounds about right, actually. I would have probably said second and maybe third win. It looked like SunSister clutching on for dear life, only barely getting Cap 1 done with about 5 seconds left to go, getting Cap 2 done into overtime as well. But let's be honest, this is something an old SunSister would not even have had the chance to do.
That is entirely correct there. That's obviously, you can see the improvements that SunSister have made there. And again, it's something I've talked about earlier, you know, that tenacity from the team. I almost thought when XQQ switched over to his Widow, I was like, I don't want to use that. It's a very touchy situation right now, using the word throw, but I was going to say, you know, he's not putting his full amounts of effort into this one, just looking to get a couple of shots through. Maybe this is, you know, a real hit or miss composition.
I'm of the opinion that Widowmaker was definitely a team decision, right? It was right out from the gate. It was the way the team was playing as well, and it also worked for the most part for a few fights, right? The thing is, it's different to when XQQ brings out, say, a Mei just halfway through the match, right? Where it feels like it's his decision rather than the team's decision, when clearly you want everyone to be on the same page. So that Widowmaker doesn't tilt me as much as a halfway through the match Mei.
I mean, it wasn't so tilting, it was more the fact that I was thinking, you know, it's a very sort of hit or miss composition.
Yes.
They really didn't give the Soldier enough time to say, okay, this is not really going to work out for us. You know, they made the change very, very quickly. But I mean, it obviously worked out for them in the nick of time.
Getting that one kill into Kiyomi, which was like
insane,
felt like a
insane.
pick as well. I mean, so you appreciate that because they're going to pick up out of all guys, but it is something that really worked out for SunSister, but almost didn't because, you know, Widowmaker does feel a bit binary. I'm kind of thinking at least the Widowmaker there, it works for the composition going on the initial take of the cap one anyway. A lot of teams do actually just run that as part of their initial take and composition. It isn't something super weird.
Yeah, it's not like an XQQ weird thing anyway, but the result is unfortunately still not in favor of Machi, of SunSister, but yeah, we can say they've improved, but I'm still sticking to my guns where I'm saying, look, they've got to start getting map wins, getting series wins instead. As much as we want to say that they're improving and as much as it might not actually change their position on the leaderboard, you need to see the results of it. And the results of these, of getting close, just don't seem enough to me.
I mean, I was just going to say that, you know, it starts with every journey starts with a single step there, you know, and
yes.
Being able to sort of in the nick of time, you know, cap point 1, even cap point number 2 as well, against a team like Machi, you know, when you were getting absolutely demolished by these types of teams in prior weeks, you know, getting full held on cap number 1, it's a good start.
Absolutely, and you know, we've still got at least one more map to go for SunSister though in this particular matchup. Kings Row might have been their best map, it was the one they took against Fireball. What are their chances now going into Assault?
Going into Assault, I mean, when they played off against Fireball, that was on Hanamura. That was also their pick, by the way, and that did not look good. It was probably the most one-sided one apart from the poll in the Fireball series, so they did have an alright showing on the attack on the first point, but kind of struggled moving into the second point. And also when they were defending, I believe they lost both points about as quickly as you can. They got a bit of stall on the second checkpoint, but that's really the best you can say for their defense.
Unless they have really made some changes or really looked at their Hanamura sort of piece of defense and offense and said, hey, this is what went wrong, we can really make some changes here. This is definitely going to be a very one-sided fight. I feel that if Fireball gave them the business on Hanamura, then Machi are just going to be trying to think of something good here. But the shop's shut.
Giving them twice
The
as
shop's
much
shut
business.
for SunSister. If
It's
that's
time
the
and a
case.
half. But look, Machi, it's their pick, so they're not a team that favors picking Hanamura too much, so we're either going to go to Volskaya or Temple of Anubis. Lately, Machi have been picking Anubis a lot more, so I believe we're probably going to go there, and that's where SunSister will utilize a few different picks. The Widowmaker is one of the picks that they've used on Anubis before. Sombra is also a pick that teams will use on the second point, sometimes even on the first point, or if you want to have fun on attack as well. So a lot of options there for both sides, actually.
Well, it does look like SunSister kind of on definitely the back foot, at least when we were looking at the Fireball game. It was a 1-1, still kind of a winnable situation for SunSister, but now down 0-2. One more chance to climb back into the series. Assault's going to be the next map, and we'll find out what that is after this break. All right, welcome back as we're getting into map 3 of SunSister versus Machi Esports. With me still, Easy Smite. Look, final opportunity now for SunSister to get back into this one. It is, in fact, going to be Machi's pick, and you were right, Smite. We are going to Volskaya.
Well, I mean, I said it was going to be Volskaya or Anubis, so I'm really.
What you could have said is
covering
it's going to be
my bases.
Volskaya, Anubis, or you know, Hanamura. I don't know, but it's one of those I'm guaranteed to
Or
be
the Luna
right.
base.
You know,
Then we go to the Luna base, and you're wrong. So there it is.
lucky they didn't give us enough time for me to put my prediction there. I said, you know, if we go to Anubis, SunSister are winning, but we're going to Volskaya, and
Are they
Don't
still
know if
winning?
SunSister are going to be winning this one. Going to be a toughie, I'd
They'll
say.
be winning inside their hearts because they know that this has still been a really good performance. Because the big takeaway, and we've already talked about this on Kings Row, was before we get to Kings Row, actually, Oasis it's a difficult one. Control, we always look at that. SunSister are not favored. We look at Kings Row, we look at Hybrid, and SunSister had a really good run. We mentioned an older SunSister would have been at first held. This was a SunSister. Second win, third win, they actually kept on through.
We've also got to talk about an older Machi though as well. During the first round robin, once they were done with that, they were actually the team sitting in 6th place. They've now moved up to 5th place and were at one point actually 4th. So this is a team that did show a huge amount of improvement during the 2nd and 3rd round robin, but have sort of stagnated a little bit. I don't think they've really risen above that plateau that they reached. And you can actually see Hong Kong Attitude ended up overtaking them again anyway. So SunSister are still a team that has been improving, and you can still see they are adapting their compositions. They are still trying out new things. So while they haven't refined it entirely, they might be just getting there now, finding their groove, finding their comfortable composition.
And they might be able to reach that before they hit Detonator at the end of this round robin, which will be their biggest test. So speaking of biggest test, Machi need to overcome Hong Kong Attitude, which is their next match after this as well. But they're going to get through SunSister first, and a 3-0 victory would kind of speak wonders to their ability to then do that against Hong Kong Attitude later.
The flip side of that though is that Hong Kong Attitude are, of course, watching this series as well. They're going to see exactly how Machi are going to be playing on all of these map picks as well. So, to a point, this could be in Machi's strategy as well. While they can't risk losing matches, and they've said that they're not going to be underestimating SunSister, especially after their performance against Fireball, they may not want to pick the same maps that might come out against them when they go against the Hong Kong Attitude, right? So, it could be that they would have liked to go to Anubis, but they want to hide that pick away from Hong Kong Attitude, instead taking a map that they might be less favored on, but are still more favored to win than SunSister.
All right, guys, we're going to head into Volskaya very shortly. So this could be the final opportunity for SunSister to keep themselves in this game, or Machi going to take it out 3-0, heading into their match against Hong Kong Attitude once again. You guys will be casting this one, so I'll see you on the other side.
Thank you very much, Avril. Can't wait to see how SunSister have been able to adapt in that small break there. Maybe can make the changes that were needed. And obviously for the side of Machi, this is where they're going to get to bust out something a little bit different, I feel, as I see a sneaky Sombra.
She's been here all along in the spawn room. Nah, there she goes. All right, sweet. So, Sombra on defense, pretty common thing to see out of teams these days on both points for defense on Volskaya, and it's going to be all based around just hiding in that room on that gigantic health pack, making sure you're building up that EMP incredibly quickly. But as everyone on the analyst desk has said at one point, breaking that first fight against the Sombra is the most important because you do it before the EMP comes out. Sombra does not bring a lot before EMP.
Well, Machi going with that triple DPS there. That's going to be the Sombra indeed for them. It looks like SunSister are going to be rolling through with the dive yet again.
Yep. But of course, it's going to be execute on the soldier once more. You can see that they're quite comfortable running him on that character pretty much permanently, unless they want to throw a Widowmaker into the mix. They're not even doing that on Volskaya, which teams have done before, so they'll do the wraparound, try and get control of this higher ground. It is a good position against the big health pack room, but looks like Machi are going to be a little bit far away from that one.
Oh, Nunez though getting the hack just in time. Beautiful stuff there. Now looking to get in a decent flanking position. Does have his translocator up in a very good spot as well. Right now in the back lines, getting things started here. The rest of Machi do not follow just yet. You did see D-Crown jump up on the front there. But again, smart stuff here from Machi because they're not getting any time on the point just yet. So they're not too worried there. But good start now from XQQ. Set up nice on his perch on that high ground there, picking up Restia as well. So an amazing start here for SunSister. If Zetman can keep himself sustained through this fight, this is going to be an absolutely great start here. But Kant says no, and indeed picks himself up a pair, but gets taken down by Mollis, and SunSister out of nowhere going to be picking themselves up the first cap, unless miracles for Machi can happen.
Unfortunately, they will not. SunSister will cap the point, and that's the aggressiveness that you need to see against this Sombra composition, breaking them before the EMP is ready. It will be ready for a second point, however, which can shut down absolutely all of the snowball that SunSister can bring, but there's a fair amount. You find a pulse bomb, suddenly you've got a numbers advantage. XQQ has tactical visor, get the diva out of the mech, and that is a team wipe in your pocket.
Well, there's already going to be XQQ in that pretty decent position up on the high ground here. Now, SunSister playing this very smart, just looking for the opening, and still have XQQ in the very good positioning. That's exactly what they're looking for before they really engage into this. They do have the nano boost up as well. Going for the full wrap yet again. What a great showing now coming from SunSister. Great calculated play here on Volskaya, but can't. Right there, picking himself up a double onto the 2 DPS. There comes the EMP on top to just finish things up here. Just looking to clean up the rest of these SunSister players. When it looked like everything was going well for them there, Machi answer back with force, and they thwart this attack of SunSister in its tracks.
Alright, easy though. Look at what SunSister kept in their pockets though. It's every single ultimate they've got. They didn't commit anything to that. Machi threw a pulse bomb and an EMP. Yeah, they're not the biggest ultimates to have gone, but they don't have Transcendence. They're not running Lucio, so Sound Barrier is not going to be available. No Talk is going to have one heck of a job trying to eat everything with that defense matrix, or Nonez has to get up the fastest EMP in the world.
Well, still 5 minutes left on the clock, so a lot of time that Machi have to hang on here. And this is going to be a great opportunity for SunSister as they look to get into this next fight. As you mentioned, Smite, with the full deck of cards. Straight away, the big long jump there. Doesn't manage to connect up onto the high ground just yet. And look at this, Nonez just getting to go to work with the Uzi around the back lines here. But I mean, still, it's like shooting rubber bullets here. Not a lot of damage coming out. XQQ finding that early kill onto DCR1. There comes the Transcendence now for Machi. He did manage to get it up. And it's not SunSister finding enough kills here, I feel. XQQ did use that tactical visor. A lot was committed into that fight from the entire SunSister side, but
that was everything.
Machi just somehow looked like they were completely under no pressure.
They held on to self-destruct, but that is it. And you're right, Machi just under no pressure. Kiyomi a little bit late, but does get the Transcendence up for that fight. And that was all they needed. I was talking about how they didn't have any defensive ultimates, but as soon as one was available, it just shut down SunSister's assault completely. And tactical visor as well. That had to be No Talk, just getting up in XQQ's face, shutting that down. Machi just having all the answers, and they still have more.
Well, that's worrisome now if you're SunSister. They're having obviously all 6 ultimates to work with there. Machi still only having 3. Didn't even have that Transcendence until halfway through the fight. Weren't able to execute correctly into that, and it's a little bit worrisome if your SunSister now moving towards, but
pick.
That's not worrisome as you open that one up onto Kiyomi. There's the story of King's Row there, really being able to find Kiyomi very early into these fights. But Kant is such a pest up in the back lines on this Tracer here. Definitely taking it to Mollis. They lose the mech though onto No Talk, and now SunSister picking themselves up a few. This is going to be their moment to walk their way in here, but DCR1 hits that Primal Rage, going to be able to contest a lot of this.
Yeah, so he's going to get out of there alive, so SunSister can be happy that, well, they force out a Primal Rage. That means there's not going to be any major stalls coming in if they do manage to start winning a fight, but they haven't managed to do that first stage just yet. And EMP is still sitting there, it's still ready to shut everyone down, and it looks like it's going to be Nonez just going in for one.
He's got himself in a decent position yet. Doesn't commit it to that fight there, as there was only 3 set up and will fall back. But now XQQ again sitting up on his high ground perch, looking to push in. But SunSister not really making a decisive plan just yet into how they're going to push into this. Looking to build up a few more ultimates, I feel. But in this time while they're doing so, Machi are managing to get more of their own, and that's the issue. But
yeah, that's the thing. SunSister are just taking too much time to set up these fights. They can't wait because EMP is just always ready. You have to bait it out at some point or another, or at least flat out kill Nonez before he can even be in effect in the fight, and even then he can just respawn and throw out EMP anyway.
Well, here we go. It's going to be Elu getting very close now to the sound barrier. Zetman should be timing that right on top of his primal as well. And Machi still only have 2 to use. The pulse bomb comes out from Kant, doesn't find anything. Now this is surely SunSister's moment to push in there, but that Discord orb onto Mollis gets absolutely destroyed as he can't manage to find any kills now. And Machi, with all the it looked like it was completely going up in SunSister's way, but just simple left click's going to be winning them the fight there.
Yeah, Nonez, I mean, just shutting down the flankers, well, the flanker, just pretty much immediately. SunSister once more, where have we seen this? They have 6 ultimates. Again, they can go in and just wipe the floor with Machi. I mean, at least that's what it looks like on paper, but this hasn't happened before. Machi have shut them down, and then we've also got to factor EMP into things. It can shut down ults before they're even used. It can shut down defensive abilities where you can just kill someone during an ult. For example, a soldier, if he's hacked, there's no bionic field at all available. Or even Ana, right? You shut her down, and suddenly you can't use sleep dart, you can't use bionic grenade, big tools.
Mollis goes for the same route again. Machi all over that. There comes the EMP. Does it connect with enough though? Well, it looks like it as that nano boost onto DCR1, cleaning up a lot of these DPS players in the back lines here, trying to chase out Zetman, knocking him clean off the edge there, obviously looking for the reset yet again, SunSister.
He got the tap on him, which means he actually gets the full kill credit. That's a lot of ult charge, especially because it's a Winston 500 HP. But SunSister, they still held on to everything except the pulse bomb, so that's an alright trade. The EMP is now not going to be in effect either if they go in quick, which I've got to say seems to be one of SunSister's weaknesses coming into these series, where they just try to set up the plays a little bit too much, give the defending team too much time, and Nunez, he can build up that EMP super quickly.
And they are still waiting. They're not closing in just yet. You do see Odinkun right up in the back lines, but now Kant managing to get all up in there. That pulse bomb finding XQQ as well. The self-destruct from No Talk. That Transcendence going to be keeping the rest of Machi alive through this. And yet again, SunSister taking a few extra seconds to get the party started. Wait too long, and then the party gets ended right there as Machi just wiped them out.
Kant has been an absolutely fantastic tracer during this series, especially on King's Row and even here as well, getting these pulse bombs. And look at Machi getting so aggressive. SunSister cannot reach the point.
Not even letting that one go into overtime. And I mean, Machi, one of the biggest things which is so apparent here is their ability to play the timing and the maps so very perfectly. You know, the way they rotate their ultimates through, very polished sort of meta gameplay there.
Well, SunSister, we've got a big task ahead of them. I don't believe they even capped out 1/3 of that second checkpoint, so they're going to have to look for a first hold here. Otherwise, it's going to be a draw, and we'd go to Golden Point, and we all know how SunSister looked on control against Machi. Not very favored to take that out, so realistically, it's going to be on SunSister here for a first hold to keep in this series alive. Otherwise, Golden Point is just way too risky for them.
Well, at the same time, anything can happen in the game of Overwatch. I have faith in SunSister that they can bring something out of the Barney bag here, some kind of rabbit out of the hat, and really surprise us here.
Oh no. There it is there.
That?
It's the May.
No, okay, I take it all back.
So they had to pull something out easy. You asked them to, and this is what they've decided, okay? They're going to bring XQQ out on the May. Unless he was just trolling his team with the walls, maybe he's gone back into the spawn, but if there's any team to bring out a May on the first point of Volskaya Industries, it's going to be SunSister with the power of friendship.
Well, I think Machi just having a few stronger sort of hit scan players here. You know, XQQ's definitely been able to hold his own, but yet again, I feel it falls into a lot of his positioning, getting caught out by Kant quite often. And I mean, also the likes of DCR1 as well, being very, very strong in regards to jumping right on top of him.
Oh, they swapped off the May.
Oh, I thought we were going to get to see a little interesting composition coming out from Machi, but not today.
No, not today. It's a little bit too important for that. But as you can see, a big difference actually is XQQ is going to be sticking on the Genji. Previously, he's actually been the Sombra player in recent times, but this time it's going to be Night Owl instead. And Night Owl has a lot of Tracer play under his belt as well, so he can get a lot of damage done, but not if you die.
Disaster strikes here for SunSister as Night Owl gets caught out. How many health packs did he get to hack though up on the point for the rest of his team? Doesn't look like too many here. And now, you talked about it on Machi's defense, and now on their offense they managed to take that Sombra out way before the EMP comes through, but XQQ out of nowhere there, some nice resets picking up Restia and DCR1. Unbelievable stuff here. SunSister might be able to stabilize off the back of this, send Machi back home.
And you asked, did he get to hack that health pack? Indeed he did. Look at Night Owl, he's got the EMP up already. That's a pretty big fight win for SunSister. They just have to do it a few more times and they can actually win Volskaya Industries here. It's a big ask, a very big ask first hold a team like Machi here for SunSister, but they've got EMP, they can do it.
Oh, and there it is. EMP comes through. Mollis finding that quick kill now onto DCR1. Kent in behind though. You've got to watch out for the sneaky beaky. Throws out it, but it gets eaten. Huge stuff there coming through from Odinkun. Very hungry, didn't have dinner tonight, but will be feeding himself with the pulse bomb.
Well, another sigh of relief is released for SunSister, but they don't have the EMP. They need to build it up incredibly quickly. This is something that XQQ, when he plays the Sombra, he builds up that EMP incredibly quickly with that aggressive play, but Night Owl is just getting caught out.
And it happens yet again. Kant finds him, and now Kant going to be able to get in a very good position here. Very uncontested round the side. XQQ still holding on to the Dragon Blade though, so watch out for him. They do have the sound barrier, but is it a little bit too late? They won't even use it here as the pulse bomb lands onto Restia. Huge pick off there. Sorry, wrong way around. My mistake. And it's going to be the sound barrier now coming through there from Elu. And it's going to be SunSister still being able to hold onto this here unless Kant's pulse bomb is huge. Nonez hitting the tech visor up on the high ground. And that's a great piece of timing now from Machi to be able to pick themselves up the first cap.
XQQ, come back in for the hero play. Come on. Come and Dragon Blade everyone. No, not likely going to happen. So SunSister are now going to be playing for the draw instead. This is, again, a very big ask for them because now Machi, they may not have ultimates to work with, but they're going to be swapping up their team comp anyway. But remember, they only have to go ahead and get 1/3. Just going to be the Genji swapping over.
Well, we like to see that coming through there. Kant already taking out XQQ. Good start for the side of Machi now. And look at Kant, so very strong on his positioning here. Looking to sneak around into these back lines. Time after time, you will not find Kant, it seems, as he just goes uncontested up on this background here. The Dragon Blade from XQQ, they're going to be finding Kiyomi early onto this. Looking for a second there. Nonez gets taken out. Even trades across the board there. The mech, though, being taken down from Machi, so SunSister a slight advantage for them, and they will be able to push Machi back here. Look at XQQ, very aggressive, looking to finish off the Diva.
Yeah, or you can just leave him out of the mech, and he'll take a while to get back in anyway, but just getting a little bit of extra ultimate charge. But Machi, they are stopped on their very first push, but remember, Dragon Blade was used for that, so XQQ is going to be having to build that up once more. They are only running the Lucio as well. Sombra is the other support. So instead, they're only going to have one defensive ultimate to build up towards, and Ilu is not even halfway towards that.
Oh, fight breaking out up on the high ground now. Kant looking to chase down Zetman. Will find him in his tracks there. Doesn't manage to finish off Night Owl on the Sombra this time, but they did indeed have that man advantage now, looking to push in. Don't even need to build up the 6 ultimates as they find XQQ as well. Nonez in a great position as well, keeping Night Owl out of this fight. Slashes him in half, finds Zetman as he respawns, finds Odinkun out of mech, and that's gonna be that right there. Unbelievable stuff, really.
Who needs your abilities when everyone is just standing together for Dragon Blade anyway? Hack or not, Nonez carves them up. In fact, he himself hacks up SunSister instead. So, it is going to be Machi. They do take out the series 3-0.
And I mean, didn't believe, if we went to Anubis, SunSister, they had it.
Oh yeah, sure.
But on Volskaya, Machi just a little bit too strong here today.
Just a touch. Just a
Tiny bit. This was it here, he was boosted as well, so we didn't catch this one here on the camera there. And it was quite the play there coming out from Nonez and Kant to really sort of seal the deal on cap number 1.
There it is, gentlemen. Machi clean it out 3-0. Unfortunately for SunSister, they ran out of breath there. Too many wins used on Kings Row, not enough left to go onto Volskaya. And a couple problems there as well. I noticed, like, I mean, Night Owl getting picked out as a Sombra on that initial defense, that was pretty devastating.
I mean, it didn't even happen only once either. It happened twice at least, and I think it could have happened more times as well if Machi didn't just cap the point because of it. So, yeah, it's great that he's getting a whole lot of ultimate charge from the hacked health packs. Yeah, that's great, but you really actually need to be there to use the EMP instead. So, yeah, getting picked out at the start is, I can understand it if there's like a Roadhog or a McCree where suddenly you just weren't thinking about it and you get hooked, you get flashbang, that happens. But that's just getting caught
He got
on
slept
something.
the first time around, I think.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah,
Oh,
and then they turned around,
okay,
Helix swapped into him.
I see, that must have been it. But, well, okay, that can happen. That's an excuse as well. But still, something you've got to be aware of.
But at the same time as well, you know, he's just trying to be a little bit cheeky, I feel, you know, do the same thing that most Sombra players do, go for a little bit of poke damage, you know, translocate out there. But the coordination and obviously the reflexes from Machi, you know, they are such a strong
Kiyomi
team.
is
So exactly that, you know. Oh,
So
what's,
good.
what's this like? My channel, bit of Naruto coming at you.
Yeah, Kiyomi's like Naruto. He just spins around and shoots a sleep dart like Naruto, right?
100% the exact same thing, Smite. What a great analogy. Take that one to the bank, clip it, put it on Reddit.
Something else that I was actually really impressed with was SunSister's ability on attack to actually get out that initial first cap, but unfortunately on the second cap they just kept running into brick wall after brick wall. Good EMPs coming out from the Machi side really stopped up the SunSister attack, and just in general, I mean, Kant was a play that you mentioned as well that was a big factor for Machi.
Yeah, I mean, Kant was constantly in the back lines or even the front lines actually just killing Winstons as well. So he was, I'm going to go out there and say he's probably going to get the MVP of that series, even though I was praising a lot of D-Crown in the first map on Oasis, but Kant has just really impressed me so far. King's Row is probably his strongest performance on that Tracer, but yeah, on Volskaya as well, just constantly messing up all of those attacks. Let's not forget as well that SunSister had multiple attacks on that second point where they had 6 ultimates and they were shut down each and every time.
And I mean, the thing is as well about that, I really want to say that D-Crown had some very huge plays throughout this entire sort of series, and I think that he, for me personally, would have been the MVP, because I'd like to sort of stray away from, you know, really giving it to the DPSs over and over and over again. But I mean, when Restia, I think it was it Restia? No, it was Elu, had his pulse bomb, had his, no, it was the other way around. I've
Restia?
confused myself yet again. It was the mistake I made in the cast, and I've just done it yet again. It was when Restia had his sound barrier up, and then he got pulse bombed by Mollusk, but it doesn't matter because they still won the fight.
Cool.
All right, well, there we go. You got there in the end.
Yep.
Just like Machi, getting there in the end with a 3-0 victory. So now,
Welcome back.
Sort of moving on a little bit from this, but how do we feel about Machi then going up against Hong Kong Attitude after cleaning up 3-0 versus SunSister, not letting anything go?
Look, I mean, it's again kind of hard to say a lot from a SunSister matchup. I feel like Machi, yeah, they were favored to win, so 3-0 is not too surprising. I've got to say, Kant and Nunez, yeah, they showed a lot of promise on those 2 DPS characters, and even D-Crown as well, I'd say, was setting up a lot of space for the 2 flanking heroes. But coming up against Hong Kong Attitude, just they play quite differently to SunSister as well. So I feel like Machi are going to have, I mean, obviously they're going to have a much tougher time against Hong Kong Attitude, but I'm still putting my money on Hong Kong Attitude to take out the series.
I would have to agree with you there as well. I mean, Hong Kong Attitude coming off a win against Blank, it's going to do a lot more for your momentum rather than coming off a win against SunSister. You know, not to really take anything away from that, but Hong Kong Attitude should surely be feeling very good about themselves off the back of that last night. And the thing is as well, is if Machi play anything like, if they don't play better than what they just played against SunSister, I don't think that they can beat Hong Kong Attitude.
Well, let's talk about where Machi actually really struggled in the series. Would you probably say that King's Row was the weakest map for Machi tonight?
Oh yeah, for sure, right? I mean, it's clearly the closest that SunSister got to actually getting a win there. They didn't get it all the way to the end, but I'd say Machi did acceptable against SunSister, but this is a team that's much higher in the standings than SunSister right now, has been improving, but I feel has been stagnating a little bit as well, right? So kind of counteract each other there, but they've reached a plateau, I've got to say. So they haven't improved for a few weeks now, whereas SunSister have, and you can see SunSister catching up. Like you said, week 1 SunSister would not nearly have come that close to winning on King's Row. So yeah, I'd say Machi on King's Row looked a little bit shaky. They were still doing a lot of correct things, but there were holes in their armor and they were getting poked out.
Which Hong Kong Attitude will definitely exploit.
And on the other side of that as well, so there is the Machi side going up against Hong Kong Attitude, but SunSister not going to get their win tonight, not against Fireball, not against Machi, and if you're not going to get it against either of those teams, certainly probably not versus Hong Kong Attitude either, which means detonated gold at the end of this round robin will be SunSister's final opportunity to get that win on the scoreboard. It will be the difference between 1 and 27 or 0 and 28, which would be pretty devastating to go home without any wins on the board. So now after watching them against Machi, did they show enough promise to actually take it against Detonator?
So after the match against Fireball, I was a lot more on SunSister's side. In fact, even saying that SunSister could do it in a 3-1 or a 3-0. Now I'm a little less confident in that assessment. I feel like it's a lot of me saying that they were going to beat Detonator came off the back of they found a comfortable composition, and over the next 2 weeks they can refine that. They need to be able to do that, but still, I think if they aren't refining it, if that's going to be the level of play that they continue on for the next 2 weeks, they won't beat Detonator. It's going to be on improving much more than Detonator with this composition.
All right, we're going to get to the play of the game now, which was, in fact, no talk specifically onto the D.Va. So there it is. Not going to be Kant, unfortunately, who, was also a really big factor for Machi. Any specific thoughts about no talk on his D.Va tonight?
Well, he's eaten. He's well fed. We'll give him that.
Oh, no hunger too then.
Yeah, so no.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
A little bit delayed there. I was like, good one.
It
Good.
took a
Oh,
second.
yes.
So for no talk specifically, when you're going up against SunSister and XQQ on the Soldier, you've got to have a good D.Va play. You've got to be able to shut that down. He did that, and we also saw him eat things like pulse bombs almost consistently. So yeah, I could see giving no talk the player of the match as well. Definitely did his job and more, exceeded expectations.
There's a couple of times as well, a lot of these matches really fall on, sometimes the Winston or the D.Va to really sort of find that finish of a kill, when both of these sort of diving heroes go in, or like, the Soldier manages to chip, the player down to like sort of, like 1% HP, manages to escape. It's on the D.Va or the Winston to leap in and get there, and I feel like no talk was a lot of the time very good at solidifying a lot of those kills for the side of Machi.
It's an interesting, his position on the team is actually quite interesting as well, because usually the flex player is also that other DPS. We're about to head now into that post-match interview, and I guess, well, the reason you no talk is you're too busy stuffing your face with ultimates. So here it is. Now in the post-match, it's going to be with D-Crown, and I'll be translating this one over. All right, so Asen, one of the Taiwanese casters, said that D-Crown's Winston is extremely good.
诀窍，开大终于可以拍死人了，总不是拍到就还活着，还蛮
He's
险
saying
回
right
来。
now, if I can primal rage, I can definitely get a kill.
看到是 No Talk 会不会觉得怎么不是
The
我？
MVP was no talk. You may be thinking why it
开
wasn't
只
you.
做 MVP， 但有信心是有变强，但好像队上只剩我没有拿过 MVP 了。
哎，真的，
They
对，
say
下
it's
次
all, I don't
努
know,
力
I
刷
haven't
个
gotten
存
it
在，
yet
感觉一定是
at
有
all.
机会拿到的。那这边想问一下，因为今天对手是 SST 嘛，然后刚刚别队就有提到说，他们好像国王大道连教练都有
It
说国王
seems
大道
like
很稳定，你是
King's
觉得
Row
真
is
的
really
他
good
们
for
打国王大道
SunSister.
里面有
How
特
do
别
you feel
难
about
打
that?
吗？
这次除了国王大道 A 点进攻的时候，我们有一点小失误以外，真的觉得 SST 打得越来越有组织性。
On the first cap, it was
对，
exceptionally hard, and we did feel like
不像之前一样有点
SST
散
were
沙的感觉。
very
感
good.
觉这次好像是有策略
The
的，
old
对不对
SST
那你
felt a
觉
lot
得
easier.
他们国王大道这么稳定的原因，就让你们觉得难打的原因是什么？
Why do you think they're so
主
good
要
at
是
King's Row?
XQQ 的跑位概念会很灵活，所以有时候可能
XQQ is
抓
really
到
fluid
补给线
On King's Row, it's very difficult to
哦，
sort
对，
of
因
lock
为你
down
们抓
on
不到
that map.
XQQ 的位置嘛。
It's hard to find his
那这一
positioning.
次他的夺命女，其实大家也在讨论，你觉得他有给队上压力吗？
So what about his
当然有
Widowmaker?
尤其是他的打法风格真的很意外，
So his
从
playstyle in
完全
Widowmaker is
想象不到的角度
really
就射掉一个人。
Interesting and hard to
那
lock
这样
down.
子
We
你
don't know
们
where
会
he's standing.
特别因为这样全队去针对他吗？
Does it feel like you need to
可
use
能
your
因为
whole
国王
team
大道的
just
地
on him?
形，可能全队针对他有点困难。
So it's-
太乱
it's even
了
hard
就
if
很
we
难
if we
找
try and
哦
commit
所
our
以
whole team
也
onto
许
him.
这就是国王大道他们特别难。
So it seems
特
like
别厉害的
maybe
原
this
因
is just their
其
map.
实我有漏看一下，然后就看不对的地方，然后XQQ 就不小心。
So it seems like as the tank player, if
所以
I'm looking at the wrong
所以你
place
是你的队友
and
很容易
XQQ
被
isn't
狙
there,
掉
then
是
our
不是
team's kind of in
差不
trouble.
多。
那这样，因为我想问一下，因为温斯顿这个角色，很多选手都说，那就是有时候可能脑冲去打就好。可是这样子，那你的队友不就会很容易死
It
掉
seems
吗？
like sometimes a lot of people saying you just got to go in as
什么时候
Winston,
冲到对方后
but
排。
it does feel like you might die easily
温
too. What
斯
do you
顿
feel?
起跳其实需要依靠跟队伍的沟通。
So you need to be able to
当每
communicate with your
每
team
个队员可以
and your
到位
team's
的时候
objectives.
才开始起跳。
所以你要跟
And
队友
when
说，哎，我要开
you
大，
figured
你要
out
顾
what
好
your
自己
goal
这样
is as
子
a team, then you
那
can
刚
jump
刚
in.
最后那样子是把76换成原式，这个是他自己
So
临时换，
None
还
is
是
as
你们
well
队上
changed from
的沟通
76 to Salt
我
to
们队上的
Genji.
沟通就是他那时候在其实打下 A 点的时候，他的士兵76大绝已经开掉了。
So he used his tag visor already.
76其实发挥不好，不太好，所以我们就决定。
And he was feeling it wasn't really performing
所以
on
就
the
大
Salt
家
hero,
说
so he
你快
changed.
点去玩原式是这样吗？
对，然后他也蛮想秀的。
蛮想
And
秀，
he
默默
wanted
接
to
受。
play Genji
好啦
as
因为
well.
等一下比赛其实对你们来讲很重要，因为你们目前是跟
So
HK
you're about to
是
play
同分
Honka
数的嘛
Attitude.
有没有因为这样昨天晚上特别
Do you
研究
feel
一下，或是拟定什么
last night in
政策
particular, or today you
除
had
了看
special
他们的
preparations?
比赛影片之外，当然也有讨论一下
I've watched a lot of their
怎么
VODs
来应付他们。
to really
好
see
啦，那等
what
一
we
下
can
就
do
加油
against
啦！
Hong
那我
Kong
们休息
Attitude.
1
So
分
there
钟，
it
等
is.
一下还有
Thank
沙
you
发区
very
的访
much
谈哟。
as we're going to have a quick 1-minute intermission before we get onto the couch as well. But there it is from D Crown himself. A couple of thoughts about SunSister and also their match against Hong Kong Attitude coming up.
Yeah, I think when the question came up about like how they deal with execute, you send your whole team, and him answering that it's just more difficult if you send the whole team. I think a lot of that relates back to why No Talk was actually the MVP, because you have to reliably be able to send a minimal amount of resources over, and just sending one diva over to shut down execute is usually going to be the best way to do that.
Well, you know, DCR talking about how he hasn't got an MVP award. I'm going to give him a very prestigious award right now. You can have
Easy's
the easy MVP award. Never given one of those out before in my entire life. So
Yeah, he gets the first one.
boom, there we go. Because I felt like it was sort of the final part of my point as well before I went off on a random ass tangent about traces and breaking sound barriers before they happen. But he sort of dictated a lot of the pacing of the fights and the tempo of the game, I think, very, very well. And it's usually an understated sort of strength of these Winston players.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely come a long way as well since when he sort of started. So there it is. Easy's MVP is D Crown. We're now going to head to the couch. And we have, I believe, Notice and D Crown as well.
大家好，我是那个 N17 的浪士。
我是 M17 的主坦 D-Crow。
对，一个是主坦，一个是输出。我们来问一下一个问题，就是两个人都可以回答，因为等一下你们的对战就是对上 HKA， 这一场比赛非常重要，因为赢了基本上你们就是第4名。
If you win, you can really fight for that 4th place.
是60万，只有1步之差。
And if the difference between 4th and 5th is a decent amount of prize money.
昨天他们是赢了 Blank， 对于你们
They already
来
beat
讲，看
Blank.
到昨天这样的一个战况，会不会有点压力？
So do you feel more pressured after they beat Blank?
压力还是会在啦，但是我
Definitely
觉得
feel
我
pressured.
们这周的练习量有加强，因
But I
为
think we've
毕竟我之前
come a long way
是
this
边
week
读
through
书边
practice as
打
well.
比赛的，
是
对，所以其实真的都没什么练到什么东西，对。那我们这周就是我都在台北，然后就是有一直练习这样子。
So I've
也是
personally
抓
practiced
到
a
很
lot
多
more
我
in
的
Taipei
失误
this
跟
week as
缺
well.
点这样子，对，都知道
And
了。
found a lot of my
加
weaknesses
强
to
训练有
really
集
fix.
训，对不对？在这一周都做好准备了。
对。
对，那这边也是问一下况对于昨天的一个战况什么看法？
How do you feel about yesterday, D Crown?
HK 近2周的比赛，他都表现出他以往现在
So
以
in the
往最好的
last 2
表
weeks,
现。
Hong Kong
像
attitude have
K4 的
been at
忍
their
者也开
absolute
始
best.
好像开窍一样，
是
And K4 has
开始
been
来
one
发
of the
挥
most outstanding
他
players.
之前根本办不到的事情。至于昨天 Blank 看下来，感觉是有点状况不佳，
And Blank
在
did
好
also
像
look
也
a bit
看
weak
也
yesterday.
蛮看得出很多失误。
对他们教练也有访问有讲到，好像就是说他们稍微有点轻敌啊，这个确实从比赛内容当中都可以看得到。这边我们可以问一个 T-Con 比较有趣的问题，因为一般来讲，在整个队伍当中啊，玩主坦的一个位置，其实相对来讲，我觉得会稍微有点无聊。
You're
就是
playing
你可能要做的
tank
事情
and
很多，可是
it
大家
does
在
feel
讲
maybe
那个
it
真
gets
的
a
讲
bit
到神
boring.
的时候，好像也比较少会讲到温斯顿 T-Con 身上。你有没有想说，如果有机会的话，
If you had the
可以换个
chance,
角色玩玩？
Maybe
也许换
would you
输出也
change
许换
hero
辅助
or change to a different role?
最近在快速玩路修，还觉得这个角色还蛮好玩的。
露西哦
I've，actually played a lot of
我觉得
Lucio
Lucio
recently,
蛮好玩
which was
的
我觉
pretty
得
fun.
混分比较好玩啊。
哦，真的吗？
没有啊，我输出跟 Risa 差不多呢。
哦，真的吗？
在
D
快
Crown
速
saying
跟
my
Rusty
DPS is
差不多
actually
我以为
as good as
我以为
Risty
你
is right
说
now.
跟浪石差不多。
没有，因为 Restia 是自称自己路修很会叮的男人。
哦，对，因为我每次问他什么，他好像都蛮有自信的。
对，他觉得他路修跟
Risty
鬼一
is
样的做输出，
Risty
他觉得他路
says
修就是
that
输出。
his Lucio is
所以
he plays it
大家
like a
的路线
DPS, so
当然我有考虑到输出位啊，然后每次团
I've
练
thought about playing
团练
DPS
后的时
too.
候都觉得。当时这个地方做的不好，我连我这个
Sometimes
玩
I've
都看
given
得出来
Nona's
突然间
feedback as
好
well
像
to
我
say
也可以
maybe
玩
he made a
输出
mistake
我在
here.
团练的时候看他的坦克，我觉得他这边该怎么做，好像也不太行哎。
And I've sort of watched him as well. And I said
他
maybe
站在那边，然后往后
maybe
看
on
一下我，
tank
然后
maybe he could do this better
对
as well.
啊，两边都蛮有趣的。你会挑他，他会挑你啦。
我们可以互换，我觉得我
Says
忍
we
者
we
也
both
不
give
错
each other
真的假的
feedback.？
你不要开玩笑哎。
对不起，我开玩笑。但我忍者有中人。
对，我觉得原氏这个问题跟浪石聊一下，因为
We'll talk to you
现
about
在的
Genji
状
Nonas.
况，基本上很多队伍会带双保护嘛，柴亚塔、露西欧。
A lot of teams will play
多多少
Zenyatta
少会有
Lucio.
限制到原氏拔刀的一个大招空间，因为有可能你拔刀，那对方就开保护，甚至两个
There's a
保护。
lot of times
对于你
when
来
you
讲，
play
现在
Dragon
的状
Blade,
况，你还是会选择
either one of
原
those
氏
ultimates
可不可以
comes
跟我
out.
们分享一下？也许拔刀没有办法做到事情，是不是还有其他工作
So
可以做？
what do you sort of look for if you can't
主
get
要
anything
对
on
面有
Dragon
双
Blade?
保护的话，那就是去逼他们双保护，其中一个只要逼出来就可以了。然后
So look to pressure
真
out
的逼
those
不到的
ultimates.
话，其实我直接拔刀去硬逼也可以，因为他
And
们有时候
sometimes
可
I
能会
use my Dragon Blade
直接
to
双保护
pressure out the
打下去
ultimates
这样
on
是最
purpose.
好的。 啊，至少骗到一招也比较好。对
and go at least go 1 for 1 on
第一
ultimates.
个骗对方开大。
对对对。
那另外一个部分就是在对方开保护技的同时，能杀几个算几个。
And if maybe you can kill them
那你
beforehand
自
as
己觉
well.
得就是原是拔刀的一个，你现在有比较，因为起看第1周的时候，我会觉得拔刀稍微有点混乱，好像对觉得越来越沉稳。在比如说刚刚福斯卡亚工业区，刚阿生就有在我们在分析的时候就有提到你的一个最后的一个拔刀，
So
确
Essen
实
was
是打
saying
出一个破口，打掉3个人。你自己
your
觉
last
得
Dragon
这个
Blade
过程当中
killed a
是
lot
不
of
是一
people.
直持续在进步？
Do you feel like
我
you're
发
getting
现
better
我
with
刀
that?
有在进步了，但是还是
It has
不
gotten
太
better,
不太稳，还是不
but
够
it's
好。
not very consistent.
对，从一开始在拔刀的时候就是会有压力。
At the start,
因为镜头都会在你身上，
there's a lot of
所以
pressure
会想要
when you
说
pull the
我想要
Dragon
秀
Blade
6
out.
个，但是到后面就发现好像不行，就是不能有那种心态，不能有那个想要秀。
But right now, the
想要去秀
expectation
操作
is
因为很容易
you're not
死
going to
掉
get
对
a
然后
big
就后
amount
面
of kills.
到后面就是有去针对对面的打法，然后再拔刀，再看情况拔刀这样。
So really now we
那
kind of
相
save
较
it
于
and play the
你跟
situation
东港
first and find a
你觉
better
得哪一
moment.
个你跟他原是谁比较强？
If you compare yourself to Zonda, who's got a
当
better
然
Genji?
是都很强啊，都很
I
强。
think we both have a very good
你
Genji.
想钓鱼吧？
没有，这个通常我觉得，如果是我觉得很有自信，说我觉得比较强，我年轻，我有本钱，对啊。
I
这边
think you're
也问一
particularly
下
quite good
迪矿
because
因
you're
为
also a
现
young
在
player.
其实，每一队都有温斯顿，那你自己觉得
So
在
Decron,
场
every team's got a
上来
Winston.
讲的话，现在看起来我们说重击是非常不错。
So
那
would you
你
say
觉得
Zhongyi
你自
is
己跟
absolutely
他
fantastic?
在场上，或者是你觉得2个风格有没有什么不一样
How
的
would
地
you
方？
how do you
比如说
rate yourself
可能
compared to him and
他
where are the
可能
differences?
会打前排，会保后排，或者是你自己比较偏重于哪一个风格？
Zhongyi 他的行星掌握度很高，我觉得他的
Zhongyi's
最强大的优势是
Skill cap on
他可以一个人，
Winston is
他
really
依靠
high.
他的星星大绝，然后可以摧毁对面的后排，
哦，
摧毁
With one-
中辅
with one
啊，
ultimate,
或者甚至一个
Zhongyi
7流啊，这我就是
kind of
我可以
affect
模仿
the
他的地方
entire
可以
enemy
跟他学习
backline.
的地方。
是，
And
哇，这边非常谦
I've
虚
watched him a
这
lot
边
in
也是
there from
给
that.
重击很大的一个称赞哦。那么这边当然我们问一下，就是下一场对上 HKA。
So you're about to go
今
up
天
against HKA.
对于你们来讲的话，有没有什么你觉得需要注意的地方？
What do you feel like you need to watch
特
out
别
for?
需要注意的地方，比如说你们过去可能在输出的地方要小心，开大的情况之下要小心，或者是在你们辅助位，对方可能
So
会
maybe
直
your
接
DPSs or
进
maybe
你
your
们后排
supports.
然后可能你们保牌意识要
Maybe
再
you
更
need to
强一
protect
点
your
观察他
backline.
们的一个战术，然后对于你们的一个准备。
What do you feel about that?
虽然我觉得等一下就要打，现在讲这个可能大家没办法透
I
露
feel
太
like
多。
maybe this is hard to talk about
但是可以
because you're just
稍微
about to
聊
play
一下
them, but
觉得
what
各
can
方
you
面都要
say?
小心啊。
哎呦，这个
No, and he
非常
says,
全面
I
的一
think
个
everywhere you need to watch out
没
for.
错
我也觉得多方面小心，我觉得可能要更注意一下小林的位置吧。
I think I need to
对
watch
小
out
林
for
的一
Shai
个
Lin's
闪光
positioning
位置
most
跟 K-pop
importantly.
的一个源势，确实这2个对于 HK 来讲，现在目前是打得非常强大的
And
一个
actually
两
right now K4 and
刺
Shai
客位
Lin
置
are looking
这边
very
谢谢
good.
2位接受我们的访问，也希望你们晚上的比赛对上 HK 能够获胜。
And I
这边
really
跟
hope
观众说个拜拜。
you guys can have a very
Bye-bye.
competitive match now against Hong Kong Attitude. So there it is. A few of the thoughts from the players on the Machi side as they're about to head into Hong Kong Attitude.
Well, I mean, they've got a small amount of time to prepare, but then again, Hong Kong Attitude had that entire series to watch as well, so they've got a lot of material to go off in their matchup as well.
I mean, the other thing as well to note is, I guess, the issues that they're sort of aware of and how they all give each other feedback, and that could be a lot of the reason as to how they've improved so quickly, is that, they all work on each other's sort of playstyle, the tank helping the DPS, the support helping the tanks, all around, that's definitely shows a great strength, as a whole for their team.
Oh, pretty much. I mean, I think that says a lot about how Machi have really come about as a team now, and their challenges do not end here. In fact, the biggest challenge will be straight after this break. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Easy and Smite, thank you for being here. And when we come back, it's going to be myself and Pixie picking up the casting for the remaining matches of the evening. So there it is. That's what we have to look forward to. We will see you after this break.